Hello, we're here today to train you on the NOVAtime timekeeping system. This particular training is for our hourly staff. This is the front page or the cover page of the hourly staff manual. And if you use the staff manual, which is loaded onto the business portal, it will provide you answers to about 99% of what you need to know. So let me just start by saying that the NOVAtime application is a web-based application. That means that you can access this application 24 hours a day from any computer, tablet, or mobile device that has internet. It provides supervisors with better visibility into work schedules and provides a method for easier management of leave balances if that's what that particular department wishes to do. Who has to use the NOVAtime system? Essentially, all staff, both regular, full-time, and temporary part-time employees must use the NOVAtime system to log their hours. It's not just for SSP, but also for temp. SSP hourly employees, SSP and supervisory salaried employees, confidential employees who were formerly known as exempt employees, and all students, both students on federal work study and students receiving regular pay. How do you access NOVAtime? Well, through any one of multiple systems with Chrome, Explorer, Firefox, Safari, so long as it's one of the most recent adaptations. So one way to access the NOVAtime time card is through our business portal. When you log in, currently, all time cards are available through this tab. And now you will also see another tab that says NOVAtime, and it will say actually NOVAtime Staff, NOVAtime Supervisory, or NOVAtime Confidential. If you click on that link, it'll take you to NOVAtime. Another method is through a direct web link, and we have listed the direct web links in the user guides. And if you happen to have the user guide open on your page, as I do right now, you can control and click, and it will take you directly to the login page. When you do go to the login page, just for future reference, because I'm going to click this now, you have to allow it access to your location. Going back. So the third method of accessing NOVAtime is through the NOVAtime app. If you go to any iTunes or Google Play, you can download the app. You should be aware that there are two apps. One is colored orange and the other one's blue. This is the app that you want. When you go in there, it will ask you for your location again, but it will also ask you for the client ID. The client ID is AND17049 and is available here on this user guide, and it's also on the portal and through the MMA app. Now, one other item that I wanted to cover briefly is that there is an audit trail that supervisors can access by clicking on the button underneath the word audit, and that will open up a timesheet audit trail. In that timesheet audit trail, it will show what time the individual clocked in, when they clocked out, what the IP address is, and also where they were at the time that they logged in or out. So in this instance, this individual logged in at Levitt Hall, and perhaps they logged in the parking lot, or perhaps they were in the building. It's not that precise. It is an approximate location. And when you click View Location, a Google map appears and again shows you the approximate location of where the punch took place. So now, having covered that, we will discuss how to log in and log out. And I'm going to go to the application right now. And I'm going to be using a test employee user ID and password, but you will use your own ID and password, the same one that you use for every other application on campus or first class, your email. So I'm just logging in right now as this person. And in order to punch in, you put in your username, your password, and you click punch. Now, good afternoon, test employee. Your punch has been accepted. You'll obviously see your own name, and that means that it's taken your punch. And that's it. That's what you have to do to punch in and punch out. The system is enabled with punch rounding. What that means is that if you punch in 7 minutes before the hour or 7 minutes after the hour that you are scheduled, it will round up or back to the hour. So if you punch in at 6 minutes to 7 a.m., it will round to 7. If you punch in at 6 minutes after 7, it'll round to 7. You should still come into work on time, though. If you want to go and see your time card, which you will have to do at the end of every pay period, or at least the end of every pay period, again, you type in your username and password, and you go to Employee Web Services. Employee Web Services is a series of widgets that comprise a dashboard. This is the employee dashboard. At the employee dashboard, we have a clock, and this also offers an alternate punch method. So if you knew you had to go into Employee Web Services, you could first click straight into EWS and click punch here. You can see right here, today is January 23rd, 2018, and I just punched in, see 145, 145. This is the timesheet, and it shows a summary on the front page of what's going on with your timesheet. Down below is the leave management system, and through the leave management system, you can request leave through your to your supervisor. Currently, the leave management system is not required to be used. Each and every department will make a decision about whether or not they want to use this. At some point in time, it may become required, and for that reason, we will go over how to do it. In this instance, you can see that it's got a list of all the accrued time available to this employee and how much time they've used. These are other sample leave requests that I put in during other trainings, and here you can see that this one was declined, and this one is still pending. Below that is the leave shared calendar, and this shows your supervisor and you how many people have requested time off or holidays, whatever, on particular days. So in this instance, you can see that somebody has requested vacation on the 12th and on the 17th, on the 16th. It might be sick time. It might be certainly on this one here, there were 5 people that happened to be taking the holiday. It's January 1st holiday. Over here is the exception summary, and it will show if there are absences or missed punches, and this is something that you should pay attention to, because before you can turn in your timesheet, all of these need to be corrected. Additionally, there's a message section. You see up here the little envelope with the red 2 lets you know that you have a private message or a message, and down below here you can read what the messages are. Now, to access your timesheet, you simply click on the arrow next to the word timesheet. Takes a couple of minutes, and here's the timesheet. Now, in this example, this employee either forgot to punch in and out, or they were genuinely absent on Monday. So I'm going to show you what you need. If you forgot to punch in, then you need to send your supervisor an email with your punch in time and your punch out time. Please don't just walk up to them and tell them that you missed your punch. Your supervisor may have as many as 10 other people walking up to him and telling him something like that, or her. So please, the email system here is the official method of communicating. Please send your supervisor an email explaining what time you missed your punch in and out. So in this instance, I'm going to pretend that this person didn't miss a punch, but was instead out sick. What you need to do in that instance is click on the date so that the system recognizes that you're actually trying to make a correction, and then click on the pay code and choose from one of the pay codes listed. In this instance, I'm going to just pick sick. There are a list of pay codes and their definitions in the user manual available. Obviously, if you were out sick, you didn't come in or come out, so you need to go over to the column marked REG for regular hours and type in the number of hours that you were out. So in this instance, I'm going to say this person was out for 8 hours. And then you must click save. If you don't click save, it will just go back to being the way it was before. Again, it just takes a couple of seconds to process. And now there's sick hours up there for that day, and the absence is stricken. Down below your timesheet, you'll find a weekly summary, and it will tell you how much time you've got in the system. There's a weekly summary, a timesheet summary, and you can look at it by pay code, or you can look at it by pay code position and pay rate. Right here, it shows 8 hours. And because this person hasn't punched out for the day yet, there are no regular hours showing under staff hourly regular. Over here, if you just click on that, you will then be able to see your accrual summary. And it says accrued and used here, and then the explanation for whether or not it was accrued or used is in the notes column. This individual has 145 hours of vacation and 76 hours of sick and 33.38 hours of comp time. Now, right here, you'll see if you hover over the yellow cell, it says missed punch. Because this day is not yet over, this is not a missed punch. But if this were tomorrow, for example, that would then be a missed punch and would have to be corrected by your supervisor. I'm going to go back 1 or 2 pay periods in order to be able to show you some other features of NOVAtime. If you want to go back and forth, you have to use these arrows right here or here. This arrow doesn't do anything. So pretend. So I think I'm going to go back one more. I loaded an employee up with a lot of overtime so that I could show you how to move overtime into the comp time. So down here, you'll see that this individual started earning overtime after 40 hours worked. And in this case, on Thursday, he has 7 hours of overtime. And here, he has 10. In the example, I'm going to show you, he has already designated a portion of that time as comp time. So I'm going to go into the comp time bank section. You do that by clicking on that little memo icon. And this individual has already set aside 10 hours to be paid as overtime. If they decided that they didn't want all of that time or any of that time, and they wanted it all as paid before they submitted their time card, they can change their mind. All they have to do is go in and click on all is paid. It takes a couple of minutes to process. And it says all the overtime hours have been saved as paid time. Click OK. The timesheet will refresh, and you'll see all of the overtime earned, 18.5 hours, is now back in the overtime column. By the way, there is an overtime -2 column. It's hardwired into the system. It is not something that we're going to use, so it's just all the way over there to the right, out of visual range, so to speak. So, all right, so that person decided that they wanted it all. Now, let's say you wanted it all to go into your comp time bank. Again, you go to the little icon that looks like a message pad, and you say, I want it all as comp. You process it. Tick-tock. And now it says all the overtime hours have been saved as comp time, and you click OK. Now, where it used to say 18.5 hours of overtime, right here, you scroll over, you'll see that 18.5 hours has been multiplied by 1.5 and added to the comp time bank. If you go down below to the accrual section, you'll see that 27.75 has been added to your comp bank down below. It happens immediately. So overtime transferred to comp time. So we'll go back one last time and show you what to do if you only want a portion of it to go to your comp time bank and a portion of it to be paid to you. Click again on that icon, and in the overtime paid section, ask for as many hours as you want to be paid for, and then click OK. And now it says your entries have been saved successfully. Click OK. And now you'll find that 5 hours are in the overtime column. And over here, the remaining hours are in your comp time bank. And going down below to your comp time bank, you'll see that it was updated immediately, that transfer. So that's how you add time to your comp time bank. Let's say you were on the pager and you needed to add pager pay to your time. Let's say you were on pager pay on the 28th. So you go to the next available cell and you click on the correct date, and then you go into the pay code section and you find pager pay, and that is all you have to do to add pager pay to your timesheet. You don't add any hours, you don't add anything in the regular column. That's all you have to do. Then you click save, and you go down below and you'll see that pager pay has been added to your timesheet summary. And it's okay that it says zeros all the way across. All the system needs to know is that you were scheduled for pager pay on that date. It will then pay you accordingly. Now, let's say you were called in to work, and in accordance with the union contract, anyone that is called in is eligible for a minimum of 3 hours of call-in pay. If you're called in and that 3 hours is outside of your normally scheduled time, that 3 hours of call-in pay will be at time and a half. If you're called in and it crosses over into your regularly scheduled time, that time that was scheduled outside of your regularly scheduled time will be at time and a half, and the time that was scheduled within your regular schedule will be at straight time. So in that example, let's say somebody was called in 2 hours before their regularly scheduled time. And what they do, let's say it's on Thursday, and their normal schedule is 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So, but they came in at 4 a.m. in this example. So they pull down Thursday the 4th, they add call-in pay there, and they go over to the column, and because 1 hour was inside their regular schedule, they put 1 hour here under the regular column, and 2 hours were outside their regular schedule, they put in 2. So that's the 3 hours call-in pay that they're due, and then they click save. So in this example, on January 4th, this person came in at 4 a.m., but they don't punch in until they're actually scheduled to punch in. So that at their normally scheduled time at 6 a.m., they would punch in. If they continued to plow all the way through to, in this instance, 11:59 p.m., they would punch out when they're done plowing. So you don't punch in until your regularly scheduled time because you're going to be adding call-in pay before then. But you do punch out when you're done for the day. And if you happen to cross over midnight, that's okay. You can punch out at 12:30 a.m. or 1 a.m. The system will then show a date out of, it would say in this instance, January 5th, 2018. So just a reminder, do not punch in when you show up at 4 a.m. because that's when you were called in. Punch in at your regularly scheduled time and punch out when you're done working. Now, how to submit your time card. You've reviewed it. Let's assume you're here now to make sure that you've got everything that you're supposed to. You added your pager pay. You had all your holiday time in there. You had the admin leave with pay. And you punched in and punched out and punched in and punched out. And this is all correct. You now need to submit your time card. So all you have to do to submit your time card is go up to the top, make sure you're in the right pay period, and click submit. Then a verification window will appear, and it says, I hereby certify that this timesheet recorded herewith is true and correct. I understand that this is a legal document and an official MMA record. You ensure that all your time is correct. And before you hit submit, make sure that's right, and then click submit timesheet. So now the timesheet status says submit. And usually you have one opportunity to undo it. If you need to, you can click undo timesheet submission if you still need to make some corrections. Once your supervisor has approved it, this timesheet status will change and will read approved. And once it's at payroll, then it reads payroll. So that is, in essence, all you have to do to log in, log out, update your timesheet, and submit your timesheet. Really quickly, once you're done doing anything, you should log out right here. Okay, so now I just want to show you what it looks like if you are scheduled to be on a shift. In our current time system, employees have to add the shift differential to their time. This system will automatically calculate it. So now I'm going to log in as another fake employee and show you what it looks like on your timesheet when you are scheduled on a shift. Just to go over the rules of shift differential, what happens is that an employee who is assigned to a shift is paid the shift differential. If an employee is not assigned to a shift with a shift differential, they are not paid the shift differential. So if you are a worker that is not assigned, this does not pertain to you, but I do want to show it to those individuals who have shift diff. So in this case, you'll see here, this employee punched in at 4 p.m. and punched out at 2 a.m. That schedule, which doesn't exist in our system, but was done so, was created so that you could see what happens when you cross over shifts. So in this instance, you've got your 9.5 hours here, regular time, and the shift diff will show here and here. So it automatically calculates the shift differential. And in your timesheet summary, you'll see the total number of hours, staff hourly, vacation, admin leave with pay, and then over here it shows the amount of shift diff and shift diff. So that is all you need to know about shift diff. Many of you might be wondering what this transfer button is all about. There are a few, literally maybe 2, maybe 3 employees on campus that work for more than one department. And when they work for more than one department, what they need to do is transfer between departments so that the pay is appropriated to the right GL line in the financial system. So I'm going to log in as a transfer employee and enter my password. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to click transfer. What happens then is a screen appears that says proceed to transfer, and that employee would pick whatever particular department their transfer department is, and normally the pay value would be the same pay value that you currently have. So unless you've been specifically told to select a different pay value, it will just default to your regular pay value, and then you click confirm. That is accepted as a punch by your secondary department. Now, when you leave that department, you punch out. So you enter your employee ID, and you enter your password, and you click punch, and it will punch you out of that department. So in this example, let's say in the morning you worked for your default department, you would punch in, punch out, and then after lunch you would transfer to that secondary department, and then at the end of the day you would punch out. And that's what you have to do if you're transferring in between departments. Now I'm going to log back in because I haven't shown you how to use the leave management system just yet. So we'll log back in again as that employee. And once again, you click Employee Web Services. And when it opens, it takes you to the current pay period. So to request leave, you go to the Leave Management widget. You click on the Request Leave button. You select a template. It says sick, vacation, or comp time. It's always going to show 0 hours, so don't worry about that. In this instance, we're going to pick vacation. This is going to be over several days, so we want to select multi-day. Right now, there's only one widget for a calendar. You click on multi-day, and a second widget appears. In this instance, we're going to request leave. Let's pick something close by next week. Let's say January 29th through January 31st. And each day, you're going to take 8 hours. You could also put in 4 if you were going to take half days or something like that. That's fine. And you could say, you could message your supervisor, going ice fishing. You don't have to, unless your supervisor requires it, and click submit. Now, what happens is that when you file a request, see that the supervisor already turned down other requests for that same time, but this is giving it the old college try. You'll see pending next to those things that you've submitted and a red decline for those things they didn't. And once your supervisor has approved it, then it will actually show up in your timesheet. I'm going to just put this on pause and go in and approve it and then show you what it looks like in your timesheet. Okay, I've logged back in as employee 99999 to see what happened to my leave request. And up here you'll see that instead of just 2 private messages, there are now 3. I could go down below to the message section and see that Barry Margrave has approved the request for your 8 hours of vacation. And on the first one, the supervisor wrote back and said, have fun. So that's great. So if you ever want to go back to the Employee Web Services section, you can just click right here on the little house icon, and it takes you right back to Employee Web Services. Now that has been approved, you should go and take a look at your timesheet, and with any luck at all, those dates will be in the system. So you asked for 3 days of vacation, and what it's done is once it's approved, it goes straight into vacation, vacation, vacation on those dates that you requested. So once your supervisor approves it, you don't need to go in and add it. It's already added to your timesheet. It's also already deducted from your accrual. And the same is true if you if you request time off in June or in January, it automatically deducts it from your accrual. So that's that. Now, in the event that you decide you don't want to take that vacation, you have to go back through the leave request system to remove it from your vacation. If you simply delete these lines out of your time sheet, it doesn't take it out of your schedule where it has also gone. So let's go back to Employee Web Services, and I'll show you what I mean by your schedule. Here's your schedule. Click on the arrow next to the word schedule, and right here, vacation, vacation, vacation has been added to your schedule. So now you've changed your mind. You don't want to take that time. Go back in to Leave Management. Click on that little arrow, and you'll find your vacation hours right here under the Approved Request section. So you've got, this is the first week, and this is the second week, and this is decline first, second, whatever. And now you've got the Approved Request. And right next to the number of hours, there's a little red arrow. And if you hover over that little red arrow, you'll see that it says Remove Approved Request. So click on that, and it says the approved time off request is about to be completely removed from the system. You click OK. Now the little arrow is flashing, and you want to do that for each one of these days. You want to delete it. Click OK. And you go back up and you click Save. Now the system will automatically adjust your timesheet. And those days are gone. Your approved days are gone, and your default schedule is back in there. So we're going to go back out to the Employee Web Services and take a look at your timesheet. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing you for purposes of the training. And now all those vacations are gone, those vacation days. So that is how you unsubmit a vacation request. So just to go back over what we've learned we've learned how to add sick, vacation, hourly, jury duty, whatever. You've learned that if you miss a punch, you need to send an email to your supervisor. You've learned how to submit a timesheet by clicking that submit button up here. You've learned how to add pager pay, and you've learned how to add call-in pay. Remember, Do not punch in when you've been called in until your regular schedule starts. And lastly, you log out right here, and it takes you back to the landing page. Again, you enter your employee ID and your password, and you click punch for both punching in and punching out. And that is the end of this training. I hope you learned all you need to. Thanks. Bye.